I remember when the rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun. Holding hands and skipping stones. Had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own. But the biggest kick I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock. While the other kids were rocking around the clock, we were hopping and bopping to the Crocodile Rock. Well, crocodile rocking was something shocking when your feet just can't keep still. I never knew me a better time, and I guess I never will. Oh, Lordy Mama, it was Friday night, and Susie wore her dresses tight, and crocodile rockin' was out of sight. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. Got a taste of loving a simple way. If you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. And don't you know I'm still standing.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Real Screen Team. I'm Andrew Thomas. I'm here with my partner in crime, Christopher Johnson.
Hello everyone.
And if you can't tell, we're doing another popcorn music. And if you also can't tell, oh well, we're doing Rocketman.
Yes. Another one that I was definitely excited to do. So, should I get into a bit of the overview?
Yeah.
Okay. Rocketman is a 2019 biographical musical film based on the life of British musician Elton John. The film was directed by Dexter Fletcher and written by Lee Hall. As well, it was distributed by Paramount Pictures. The film stars Taron Egerton, Jamie Bell, Richard Madden, and Bryce Dallas Howard. Should I also go into an overview about Elton himself?
Yep.
Okay. Elton John, born Reginald Dwight on March 25th, 1947, is an English singer, songwriter, pianist, and composer. Collaborating with lyricist Bernie Taupin since 1967 on more than 30 albums, Elton has sold over 300 million records, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. John has more than 50 top 40 hits in the UK singles charts and US Billboard Hot 100, with 7 number ones in the UK and 9 number ones in the US, with 7 of those being consecutive. John has received 5 Grammys, 5 Brit Awards, 2 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, a Tony Award, and a Disney Legends Award. All of those for The Lion King. And he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1992 and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994. Elton John was also knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for his services to music and charitable services in 1998. Mm-hmm. So, what was your introduction to Elton John?
Well, it was through Alvin and the Chipmunks, really enough, when they did like a little music video with the Crocodile Rock on there. But I've heard of Elton John, I just didn't know what he sang until I put them all together on that, when I got like the greatest hits. So, yeah.
I think I was around either 10 or 11 years old when I got introduced to Elton John, and it was through the Muppet Show, actually. My mom and I had actually gotten some of the VHS tapes of, the best of the Muppet Show, and seeing his episode on the Muppet Show was my introduction to him and his music, and from that day on, I was a fan. he's definitely become one of my favorite music artists. So, should I go into the synopsis?
Yep.
Okay. Young Reginald Dwight changes his name to Elton John and collaborates with songwriter Bernie Taupin to become one of the most iconic figures in pop history. Set to his most beloved songs, it's the epic musical story of Elton John, his breakthrough years in the 1970s, and his fantastical transformation from a shy piano prodigy to international star. So, we definitely have to give this up to Taron Egerton.
Yep.
That man became Elton John.
Yeah.
It didn't... It wasn't him playing Elton John. He became Elton John. I didn't see him anymore. I literally thought I saw Elton John. And you have to give it up for him because unlike Bohemian Rhapsody, where they used, Freddie's voice for the film, in this film, Taron Egerton sang all the songs. And he actually actively had to learn to sing like Elton, learn the inflections in which he sings, and he did it perfectly. This was kind of like a full circle thing for Taron because he'd already had a couple other projects in which involved Elton John in any way. He lent his voice to the movie Sing, and he actually sang I'm Still Standing near the end of the film. And Elton John actually made a cameo appearance in the sequel to Kingsman, which is the franchise Taron is very well known for. What were your thoughts on Taron Egerton's performance?
I thought he portrayed Elton John really accurately on there with his mannerisms and stuff on there.
Though, if you're going to talk about Elton, you need to talk about his best friend in Bernie Taupin, played by Jamie Bell. And I think Jamie did a fantastic job. And you could actively feel, the close friendship that they had with one another. What did you think of Jamie Bell?
I thought he was really good at Bernie, along with being the guy who also let Elton know when he was going too far in his own ego, or
when Elton was spiraling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bernie was definitely the voice of reason. And you could really tell sometimes that Elton really needed Bernie. Because Bernie was much more level-headed. Seeing as though he only had to write the songs, he wasn't the one on stage. And Elton could confide a lot in Bernie. Though I do like the fact that Bernie kind of, I guess he never really thought down towards Elton because Elton was gay.
Yeah.
And he at least was nice enough to tell Elton that, man, I love you like a brother, but I don't like you that way. Which I think in some ways that hurt Elton, but it made everything seem fine. That they're best friends. They're like this, but don't. There's just certain things you should not go forward with. There's a line. But with friendships, there are also hardships.
Yeah.
And we've got to talk about those hardships. First, with John Reed, played by Richard Madden. Richard Madden actually played a much different version of John Reed than what we saw in Bohemian Rhapsody now, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody made John Reed look much nicer in comparison because, oh my God, Richard played an absolute villain in this.
Yeah.
Just the manipulation that he did to Elton was messed up.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame that on how he did that because Elton was naive. And, Elton was dealing with understanding who he was as a person, and then having someone here just manipulate him and mistreat him and drove Elton to the point that Elton tried to commit suicide. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. And plus, it didn't make things any better dealing with Elton's parents.
Yeah.
Sheila and Stanley,
Yep.
played by Bryce Dallas Howard and Stephen McIntosh, respectively. God, we really learned how messed up Elton's home life was.
Yeah.
I mean, Mother didn't really care too much. And she... Did she ever really show that much love towards him?
No.
She kind of treated him more as just a meal ticket, and I mean, at least she showed some interest in him as far as his talent, but it didn't really go that far along as far as her caring about him as her child. I mean, he got more love and respect from his grandmother and Sheila's boyfriend. It's really messed up, and the barely of a relationship he had with his father.
Yeah.
Apparently both of them just should have never been parents, or they became parents way too early.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Stanley got a better grasp in being a father when he got remarried.
Yeah.
But it still hurts for Elton.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that he lost grasp of being Reginald Dwight. He used the character of Elton John as a way to hide the feelings that he had.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the interesting things about this film that I definitely have to give a great deal of credit for. We actually got to see the deconstruction of Elton John.
Yeah.
When Elton finally had enough and decided to go to rehab, as he's telling his story, we start to see him remove the facade, because he came in there dressed in one of his most outrageous attires, and then as he's telling the story, he starts to take things off, and we start to see Reginald Dwight instead of Elton John. What were your thoughts on that?
I thought that he got a lot more comfortable with the AE meeting people, talking to him about it, because at the beginning he was just still in his character. Took him a long time to finally let out what was really going on. Some of the time he was lying to him, while the flashbacks told a different story there. And and he let it all be done with.
Yeah, the whole outfit was gone. Even the overly outrageous shades were gone. He was just him.
Yeah.
You know, he finally let himself be vulnerable again. Because for the longest time, Elton was going through some rough stuff, and that's also another thing I have to give this film a great deal of credit for. They told Elton John's life stories. They told his life story and showed his struggles very honestly.
Not quite as accurately, but still well close to being accurate as possible.
Yeah, without going too far.
Yeah.
The thing, Elton really went through a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the drugs, the alcohol, pretty much everything that, you know, a rock and roll star goes through. He went through that and then some, especially on the fact of the man dealing with his own sexuality. It really was something. I mean, how Elton John made it out the other side is a miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think?
Yeah. I felt pretty the same. Like, how is he still alive after all that stuff that happened?
And plus, we did actually get to see some of the construction of the songs that I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, just seeing him and Bernie work together and structure and create some of these iconic songs.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see. I mean, pretty much all the music performances were fantastic. And it wasn't just Taron singing in this either. Jamie Bell did a bit of singing. I think, didn't Richard Madden do a little bit of singing? I think during Honky Cat.
I think so, but also Bryce sang.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard.
The guy who played
Stephen McIntosh. Even Gemma Jones.
Yeah.
Who played Ivy.
Yeah.
Elton's grandmother. Everyone actually did a very good job singing-wise in this.
Mainly a long musical based on a true story.
Yeah. This was definitely much different than other biographical films. This was like nearly a full-on musical. And they found some interesting and nice little ways to incorporate as many Elton John songs as they could. Whether it was, you know, fantasy sequences, you know, showing either the highs or lows of Elton's life, seeing him perform on stage. They even him singing little snippets of certain songs that he and Bernie hadn't written yet.
Historical inaccuracies.
Yes, I give this one the benefit of the doubt as far as the historical inaccuracies compared to like Bohemian Rhapsody,
Where we had 7 of them.
Yes, but there were some historical inaccuracies, like when he met when he met the record executives, Dick Jones, and Ray Williams. Yeah, Elton and Bernie hadn't written, that's why they call it the blues yet. You know, that was like well into the 1980s.
Yeah.
When Elton performed at the Troubadour, that was in 1970. That's when his second album had come out around that time, the self-titled, that had your song. He and Bernie had not written Crocodile Rock yet. That was in 1973. But it was still a good performance, despite the fact of, you're lying to us. That didn't happen at the Troubadour. And with other things, I guess there's no avoiding it. Things got very graphic.
Yeah, I didn't want to see too much.
Things got way too graphic. Way too graphic.
That was an R rating.
Yeah, they took advantage of this R rating. I mean, this wasn't the, we'll just sprinkle a little bit of kissing and just alluding to things like about Freddie's sexuality in Bohemian Rhapsody. No, they went all in. They picked up the gay and hit you upside the head with it. And good Lord, we saw things. We saw things. But despite that, it was a fantastic movie. Even though some things got a bit, how would you say, uncomfortable?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. There were some things we didn't need to see.
It's alright if you're interested in that stuff.
It's perfectly fine.
Just not us.
Yeah. Hey, just like how Seinfeld said, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
That's just not us.
Yeah.
But I guess, why don't we go into our ratings?
Yeah.
Why don't you go first?
I'm going to give this 8 out of 10 because it was mainly accurate. Mostly accurate to Elton John's life, along with him being the executive producer, along with enjoying the musical numbers that were sprinkled in the movie. And so that was mainly why I enjoyed the movie.
I give this a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed this just as much as I did Bohemian Rhapsody, but I enjoy it in a much different way. Because of the fact that Elton was willing to be very honest and truthful about the good and bad that happened in his life, and the fact that we actively got to see it.
Yeah.
On top of the fact, Taron Egerton was fantastic playing Elton John. How this man was not nominated for any major awards is beyond me. That is one of the worst snubs I've ever seen as far as an actor doing their craft. He was Elton John. If you're going to give Rami Malek the awards and praise, you should have given Taron Egerton the same amount. And as I said, the musical performances were fantastic.
Yeah.
And I got to give Taron all the credit in the world of learning how to sing like Elton. The man's already a great singer, but he actively learned how to sing like Elton. All of his inflections, his register, he did it perfectly.
So, before we go, we recommend you find us on Back 14, find us on Facebook, The Real Screen Team, and on YouTube, The Real Screen Team. Please subscribe so we have more of these. Make sure, right now, we're trying to get to 100, so please subscribe if you're one of our fans who watch this also on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet. And give us also some feedback if you want to about what we should do.
Yeah. Definitely your feedback, your comments are definitely warranted. Please give us some comments on the bottom. Tell us what we're doing good, what we could work on. Start a conversation. Yeah. We'd also like to know your opinions on this film and all the other things that we discuss.
And coming out is my birthday month.
Yes. Yeah, I owe you an expert or novice.
Yep, so I'm doing 2 expert and novice. 1 TV show and 1 movie. The first expert and novice will be Smallville, my favorite Superman show of all time. So we're going to go into that.
Yeah, it's been a very Superman heavy year, hasn't it?
Yeah, with Superman and Lois just premiering and the Justice League Snyder Cut out. Yeah, so I'm continuing that trend with Smallville, the beginning of Superman. And see how Chris reacts to the rest of the season. And then tell why I like the show so much on that one. Yeah. And then I'll reveal the movie after the Smallville review. But I think, Chris, you should sing us out.
Okay. You could never know what it's like. Your blood is like winter freezing just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely night that shines from you. You'll wind up like the wreck behind the mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Well, don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing.
Yeah.
I'm still standing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Let's fade to black.
Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. Got a taste of love in a simple way. If you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away.